know how to hit your protein goals, then you need to stay tuned. I am going to make sure that I'm live. If y'all have questions about how to hit your protein, let me know because I'm going to be breaking it down. This is the same strategy that I teach my clients as well. And this is one of the things that I always like to let people know is that your protein goal is not just one number. We always think there's like one right way to do something or one right number, and there's really not like one right number. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm live on all platforms. If you happen to be watching the replay, hashtag replay, let me know that you're watching. I'll give you guys some updates while I'm making sure that everything is good. The podcast is coming back. I promise. I promise. This episode, if it records properly, will also be on the podcast so you can listen to this back. If you're not in my Facebook group, you should definitely be joining my Facebook group as well. Because the episode will be there. And y'all, I have a YouTube channel too. I never, I always forget to mention that. But if you want to come back and kind of go through some of the trainings that I've done so many live trainings and they've all been really, really great on macros and mindset. Last thing I'll say before I get into it also is the Fit Figure formula is open. So I talked to someone today who I had literally, we talked last year, I believe. And hold on. We talked last year. She was pre-diabetic and, unfortunately now she has the diagnosis of diabetes and we had a sales call today. She is planning on joining, for the October enrollment. But here's what I want to say is that you do not have to wait. I think so many times we don't take action and we're almost like waiting for something to happen or waiting for the shoe to drop or waiting for us to have to do it in order to actually take action. And I've been thinking about this in my own life as well, just as like far as being an entrepreneur, or I tend to think for a really long time before I take action. And this is a convenient way for us to procrastinate or just kind of like stick our head in the sand instead of just taking action. So there are things that I know that I like, okay, I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. And I'm like, okay, I know I need to do it. And the desire to do it, thinking about doing it, researching how to do it is not doing it. So if you know that your A1C is high or you've been told you're pre-diabetic, it's not enough to just not go to the doctor and just pretend like it's not happening. You can actually take action, but it requires you to do something different. If you know that like your mindset and your nutrition are your biggest hangups, which for most of you, that is the case. If you know that you are doing well for 2 weeks and then you fall off for like 4 weeks, buying another boot camp, getting a new meal plan, all those things are not going to help you when you are emotionally eating or you fall off track when you go on vacation. Like, make sure that when you are investing in your health, that you are fixing the actual problem versus waiting or purchasing something that actually doesn't fix the actual problem. So I encourage this potential client who now has diabetes. The thing about the diabetic diet, and this is, I teach this in the formula as well, is it's just a healthy diet. So if you know that your A1C is higher than you want it to be, I need you to just apply because I don't want this to happen to you where you're pre-diabetic and then now all of a sudden you have this diagnosis of diabetes and now it kind of initiates some action. One of my clients in the past few weeks she started out pre-diabetic, high cholesterol. After 16 weeks, she no longer has that diagnosis of prediabetes. Her cholesterol is lowered. So there are really simple things that you can do. And life is still lifing for her. She's still busy. She has 4 kids. Like, you can do this, but it does require you to take action. And I totally get it because I'm that overthinker too. We just overthink and we keep thinking about doing it. And that's not doing the thing, right? Researching, talking about it, having the desire to do it is not doing it. It's just, hey, how can I take that next step? So I'm just encouraging you, if you are kind of like on the fence, if you know you need to make some changes, but you haven't yet, here's your sign to go ahead and make some changes, whether it's with me or with someone else. Like, make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Okay. So again, if you are watching, drop any comments or questions that you might have around getting in your protein. Hey, Lakia, thanks for watching. All right, so I'm going to get into this. So number one is really like set a goal. Like, do you actually even have a goal? I'm going to talk about how to set that goal today. You want to shoot for something because I feel like sometimes people will say, I'm not getting enough protein, but they don't actually know how many grams they need, and they don't know how many grams they're getting because they're not actually tracking their food now. So set a goal and understand that there's no right number. There's not like one set number that's the right number and all the other numbers are wrong. Okay. So any time we are thinking like, what's the best? This is why I coach perfectionists, right? Because we always think like there must be one best diet, one best exercise. What is the right food for my body type? It's a range. So my clients, I do a full assessment on my clients. When you onboard with me, I do a full assessment and I usually put them anywhere between 0.6 and 1 grams of protein per pound. So how do I make that determination? Number one, I'm a clinical dietitian, right? So there's a lot of nuance that goes into it, but essentially, if you are far away from your ideal body weight, you're probably going to err on the lower side, 0.6, 0.7. Usually even that though is a stretch because most of y'all are getting around 75 to 100 grams of protein. That's what y'all are doing. So typically that 0.6, 0.7, even though that's on the lower end, is still a stretch for a lot of my clients. So I will start them there. And that's because I'm not going to give you a really high goal that you can't meet. You can't meet it, so you feel inadequate. You feel like I'm not doing this right. And that just perpetuates like a negative cycle. So we start out really by seeing how much are you already eating with your protein. And I would highly encourage you guys to do this too if you're not planning on joining the formula. But I obviously want you to join if you're needing some help. But start off tracking how many grams of protein am I already eating? And then make your goal maybe 25 or 30 grams above that so that you can incrementally start to increase that. So if my clients if they're closer to their ideal body weight, then I will put them more so at like 0.8, 0.9, or 1 grams of protein per pound. But most of my clients start off somewhere 0.6, 0.7. So as you begin to change and as you begin to hit your goal, your skill becomes better as you begin to lose weight. As a dietitian, I look at that, I look at the numbers, and then we can adjust the numbers from there. So again, there's not one right number. There's a range, and that's usually where I start my clients. So let's say you're like, hey, I know I need to increase my protein. I would start somewhere in between 0.6 grams of protein per pound up to 1 or 1.2 if you're really lean, and set a number. Okay. So again, this is going to depend on your goals, your skill set, supplementation, and your current diet. So sometimes with my clients, I don't get a lot of vegetarian or vegan clients, but I do tend to use a lower end for any clients that are vegetarian or vegan, just because it does tend to be a little bit harder to get your protein in without eating a lot of volume, because meat is just the easiest way to get in protein in terms of like volume wise. Okay. So I'm gonna look at Lakia. Let me know if you have any questions. Now, hey Tracy, I see your DM and I will get back to you as soon as I get off of this live. Again, y'all drop your questions if you have any. All right. So number one, set a goal. Understand there's no right number. Zero point 0.6 to 1. So that means 0.6 or 0.7 or 0.8, 0.9 or 1 gram per pound. Practice hitting that goal. So you want to make sure that you are practicing hitting the goal and building the skill of hitting your protein. So the best way to do this, and this is what I teach in the formula, is to pre-plan your food. A lot of you guys are in MyFitnessPal and you are eating something and then putting it in, eating something and putting it in. What that means is you're tethered to your phone all the time. It means that you're still not planning, it's not predictable. And then once you've eaten all day and you get down to dinner or your evening snack and you haven't hit your numbers, there's not too much that you can do after that. But there are ways that you can mitigate that as well. And I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit. But practice hitting that number. The best way to do that is by pre-planning your food in MyFitnessPal. I teach my clients to do this on the desktop, not the app. And then I also highly encourage my clients to just plan 3 days of food. So obviously there's a lot more that goes into this because yes, you're planning your food and you're trying to hit a protein goal, but then you also have a calorie goal to hit, right? That's not what we're talking about today. But once you are pre-planning, you're hitting your protein, I would say no more than 3 complete days, because if I plan for 3 days in MyFitnessPal or whatever app you're planning in, then I can just have a leftover for that day. And if I do that for 3 days, that gets me to 6 days, right? Does that make sense? So I plan 3 days in MyFitnessPal. I'm going to eat though, or prepare double, because I'm going to eat that for 2 days. And that gets me to 6 days. I'm going to flex the 7th day. Let me know if that makes sense. Okay. So this means that I have planned in MyFitnessPal one time, and now I cannot touch MyFitnessPal other than just to look and see what I'm putting on my plate and how much I should be putting on my plate. I do highly encourage my clients to print them out. Hardly anyone ever does, but that is another fantastic way to build a system for yourself. So you're planning 3 days, you're flexing the 7th day. And again, this is a skill. A lot of times we're eating around the same or similar things weekly. And so you can save these plans. And so when I was talking to the potential client on the sales call today, we were talking about building a system versus just deciding what I'm going to eat today. And then every time I decide what I'm going to eat, every time a meal time comes up, every time there's a new day, I'm starting from scratch every day. That is how you get burned out. That's how you fall off. That's how you start getting mindless and distracted, because you have to start from scratch every day. I don't want you to do that. In the Fit Figure formula, we're building a system so that now I don't have to start from scratch every single week or every single time I plan my food. I'm not just planning for today. I'm saving that meal plan that I'm creating for myself out of foods that I actually like. And I'm going to utilize that for another day because I'm probably going to eat it again anyway. So don't just throw away all of your hard work when you're tracking and you're putting stuff in MyFitnessPal and then you just start over every single day. You are wasting a lot of time when you do that. So, we're building systems for ourselves in the formula. Okay. So now let's say if you do decide to track, we had the Fit Figure Formula call last night, and one of my clients, she's saying, hey, I kind of prefer to track. And I coached her on that, kind of challenged her on that a little bit because it might seem easier or less time consuming. But if you're not hitting your goal because you don't actually know what numbers to hit as you're tracking, and you think it's saving you time, but it's probably not saving you that much time, to be honest. But on those days when you do track, here's how you want to do it. Let me check the comments really quickly just to see if there's any. Tracy, I will get back to you. And is there such thing as too much protein? If you have a compromised kidney function, I would say yes. If you find that you are getting constipated, because some of my clients will say like, hey, I'm getting constipated. Typically what that means is that, yeah, you're hitting your protein goal, but you aren't looking at your fiber goal. And this is why I have my clients pre-plan on the desktop, because the visual that you get is much better. Now there is a hack. So when you pre-plan on the desktop, you literally log into myfitnesspal.com and you can see all the columns. You can see your fat, your protein, your carbs, your I think it automatically it has sugar and sodium, but I have all my clients change either sugar or sodium, one of those, to fiber so that we can see the fiber goal. So that once they get really good at planning and pre-planning their protein, they actually go in and start looking at their fiber too and making sure they're hitting enough fiber. So if you're feeling like you're like constipated, you're probably not hitting your fiber goal. You might not be hitting your water goal, and you may not be moving enough. So those three things. So if you find that you are having that issue, make sure that you check that you're hitting your fiber. Now, let's say you're doing this again because you're tracking on your phone. You want to turn your phone. Can y'all see this? Yeah, you want to turn your phone sideways like this. And when you do and have the screen unlocked, it will actually show you all the columns. Now it's not, you have to kind of like drag it up and down to see, but you can see more information if you turn it sideways and let your screen flip. And that way you can see your fiber and make sure you're on track and on target. Let me know if that answered your question, Lakia. So again, if you're tracking, here are some tips. So you want to divide your total goal of protein by the number of meals that you eat. So most of my clients will have 3 meals and 1 snack. So that means that if I am going to have, just for simplicity, if my goal is 100 grams of protein a day, I'm going to divide that by 4, and that's going to give me 25 grams as a goal. You want to also do this with your calories too. So let's say you have a goal of, let's say 1600. I'm really bad at math. Okay. So let's just go with these numbers. Let's say your calorie goal is 1600. You're eating 4 times. So roughly around 400 calories per meal. And then 25 grams of protein per meal. Okay. Let's just say that that's your goal. When you're tracking, you need to know those numbers, because what happens is you start tracking and maybe you overdo it for breakfast and you have 500 calories, and then you only had, 10 grams of protein, right? You had a lot of carbs that breakfast. Well, now you're kind of top heavy because now you've used a little bit more calories and you're under on your protein. By the time you get to the end of the day, if you don't correct that, you're going to be over on calories and under on your protein if you don't correct it. So understanding how to divide up your per meal goals, and it doesn't have to be exact, but understand that, like, okay, if I am tracking as I go and I'm putting in for breakfast, I know that if I'm around 400 calories, and 25 grams of protein, and I'm going to eat 3 meals and a snack, I know I'm going to be around my goal. So I always have my clients hit or exceed their protein goal. So whatever protein goal I tell them to do, like either hit or exceed that, and then be within 100 calories of your calorie goal. So that means if my goal is 1600, that it is no more than 1700 and no less than 1500. So have your per meal goals as you are tracking. This is going to help you hit your goals so much better. Okay. And as you go, when we talk about doing this week after week, you're going to develop your go to meals. Again, I don't want you to just think about, I'm just planning for today. I want you to start saving your meals. What are some go to meals and go to foods that I like, that I eat pretty often? And make sure that you are saving those either in my Fitness Pal, or even I give my clients a macro diary where they can write this down pencil to paper. So if you are a meat eater, lunch and dinner is going to be pretty easy. If you eat anywhere between like 4 to 6 ounces of a meat, you're going to be able to hit your protein goal. Again, just going back to the example of 25 grams of protein, let's just say that's your goal. If you have any kind of animal flesh, which is salmon, shrimp, beef, chicken, turkey, whatever, you're going to hit your protein goal just with the meat. And then if you have sides like beans or something, that's going to add on to the protein. So getting 25 to 30 grams of protein at lunch and dinner are usually pretty simple for my meat eaters. It's breakfast and lunch or breakfast and snacks, sorry, where you guys struggle a little bit more. So I gave some examples on my profile page, and y'all really, this is how this episode even came about, was because y'all really liked that those tips that I gave about breakfast. So something that I always do, I had this morning, is one of the most satisfying breakfasts to me. I don't know why, but I love it. Avocado toast with eggs. And then I did add the cottage cheese. I did it a little bit differently the last time. If y'all saw my stories, I had the cottage cheese and I tried it the first time, and I put the cottage cheese in the eggs like kind of after, and it made it watery. But this time, as I'm like mixing up my eggs, I put the cottage cheese in, and I put a little bit less too. But once I cooked it, couldn't even tell it had cottage cheese in it. That boosts up your protein quite a bit. Super easy, tastes great. And then I also had some smoked salmon slices on it. It's my favorite breakfast. And after I eat that, I feel so satisfied. And I know why. It's because it has a healthy fat, it has a fiber filled carb in my toast, it has lots of protein, and I feel so satisfied after I have that meal. So that's one this example of how you can start to increase your protein at your breakfast, because breakfast and snacks are probably going to be some of your hardest meals. And I give my clients a list of food groups, but I also give them some ideas like the Quest chips. If you're a chip person, I've had them. I like them, but I'm not really a chip person. Beef jerky, the Strive beef jerky is my favorite. And I think it has like 16 grams of protein per like ounce or per serving or something like that. Tuna packs, the Fairlife chocolate milk, having egg whites instead of just the whole egg, lentils and beans if you are not a meat eater, and incorporating that. So just making sure that your breakfasts and your snacks are on point, because typically those are the problem meals to get in your protein. And another thing that we do, and that I help my clients do, is manage their schedule, because a lot of times what happens is typically either breakfast or lunch gets skipped because you didn't get enough sleep and you wake up late and you don't get breakfast in. So now you're starving for lunch, or you do have breakfast, but then you work through lunch and then you have dinner. And just being able to like eat on a schedule, a flexible schedule, but eat on a schedule so that you can get in all of your meals, because it's hard to hit your protein if you're only eating once or twice a day. Unless you're like drinking some kind of like protein shake or something like that, it is a little bit difficult to hit your protein goals if you're not actually eating very much. Okay. So let me just kind of recap really quickly. So, well, number one, have a goal. If you want to hit your goals or your protein goals, you got to have a goal. And I can go over the reasons why you want to hit your protein goals and why protein is the most important macronutrient when you're trying to lose weight or build muscle. That's another live though. So you want to have a goal. You want to set it in between zero point 0.6 and 1 grams per pound. And then you want to practice and develop those skills. You want to practice hitting the goals. You want to save your go-to meals. Your like when if you find a certain brand of something that you really like, make sure that you don't forget that, oh, I really like this brand of beef jerky, etc. You want to make it simple for yourself. Plan no more than 3 days at a time and pre-plan. I teach all of this in the formula. Okay. If you do decide to track, you want to make sure that you know your per meal goals for your protein and for your calories. Then once you get really good at hitting those numbers, look over at your fiber by turning your phone. If you're not going to be on the desktop, turning your phone sideways and you can see that fiber goal and making sure you're hitting your fiber as well. So if you're a meat eater, lunch and dinner is pretty simple, but make sure that breakfast and snacks that you have some go-to things that you can use that will help you hit your 30 plus grams of protein. So if you guys happen to be catching the replay, make sure that you post, or you can post your questions. If you're in my Facebook group, Lakia said, yes, it did. Okay, great. I'm glad that answered your question. If y'all have any more questions, just let me know. I invite you to apply to the Fit Figure Formula. So I think you guys have like, you have about 9 more days before October enrollment ends. So if you are struggling with your nutrition, if your A1C is off, if you're starting and stopping, if you're beating yourself up, if you have a lot of limiting beliefs, whether or not you can actually reach your goals and keep them, you want to join the Fit Figure Formula. I'm going to help you to lose weight, to get leaner. Do not wait until January, y'all. I literally had someone tell me that this is her cheat season and that she's gonna, start in January, which is fine. Everyone has their own like choices, but wouldn't it be a lot better to go into 2025 leaner and having support through the hardest time of the year? Because my son has already brought his little, he went to a trunk or treat, already bought a whole thing of candy, and I'm in there digging for the Snickers. And y'all, I'm gonna tell you now, I don't know if I should tell you this or not, but listen, Snickers are the best chocolate. And I'm not seeing as many Snickers, which I guess is good because all I did was eat that one little Snickers that was in there. But put some Snickers, y'all. I don't know. Why how do we get a whole big old thing of candy and no Snickers? I don't get it. All right, let me check my notes one more time in the comments. All right. Cool. I hope this was helpful. I hope to see your application come through. Again, you have 9 days to join the formula for October enrollment so that I can be with you through all of the holidays. And I'll be in your back pocket. Quick little overview. We have 2 calls a week. So Monday, Thursday, you'll get coaching from me. You'll also get expert guest coaching from a hormone coach and some other phenomenal coaches that I have that come once every few weeks to come and give my client support. You get workouts. You are getting in between call support. So I literally, when I say I'm in your back pocket, I'm in your back pocket, and you can message me at any time and get in app coaching. One of my clients was, she had a question. We're videoing back and forth. So literally like text, video, voice notes. You can get coaching all throughout the week. So can't wait to help you. I'll see you soon, and I'll be back for a new live next week.